Global Times, 26 October 2022, Sunak finds it challenging to articulate a comprehensive China policy because of domestic problems. China anticipates that a divided Britain will have a lax stance toward China. New British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and US President Joe Biden spoke on the phone on Tuesday shortly after taking office. Both parties agreed to cooperate to support Ukraine. At the same time, Sunak stressed the need for US-UK collaboration in the Indo-Pacific area to oppose China's negative influence. Chinese commentators argued that the special relationship's current significance is debatable, given that both governments are constrained by pervasive internal issues and lack the political capital to address them. However, experts also noted that Biden, who is dealing with a bleak outlook due to the impending midterm elections, rising inflation, and other domestic issues, might not be pleased to see an unsteady ally. As a result, the strength of their relationship will also depend on Sunak's ability to resolve the UK's issues. Chinese experts predict Sunak will not continue his predecessor Liz Truss' hardline approach, such as the attempt to label China as a threat, since further frayed Beijing-London ties will only add fuel to the fire of the current predicament the UK is facing. Sunak reportedly struggles with economic doom at home, making it impossible to present a comprehensive China policy in at least half a year. They persuaded Sunak, whose technocratic government encourages pragmatism, to continue viewing Beijing as a partner in cooperation rather than as an opponent to appease the US. The new Prime Minister of the UK, Rishi Sunak, received congratulations greeting from Chinese Premier Li Keqiang on Wednesday. Li stated that China is ready to advance bilateral ties for solid and steady development. Sunak and Biden previously spoke. The two discussed the level of UK-US cooperation in places such as the Indo-Pacific, where the AUKUS Treaty forms part of our efforts to enhance stability and counter China's harmful influence, according to a readout of the call issued by Downing Street. In response, Wang Wenbin, a spokesperson for the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, stated during the briefing on Wednesday that China is neither a challenge nor a threat to any nation's development. He also urged the US to abandon the idea of a zero-sum game and to make more significant contributions to global peace and prosperity rather than peddling the tired China danger doctrine. Since gaining office, Sunak has never before made his position on China known in public. However, Sunak pledged to outlaw China's Confucius Institutes in the UK and designated as the greatest long-term threat to Britain when taking on his predecessor Liz Truss, who held office for just 45 days. Truss also wanted to reclassify China as a threat during the campaign. As candidates compete to speak louder and more complexly to please the audiences, election campaign rhetoric shouldn't be believed, according to Gui Hongjian, director of the Department of European Studies at the China Institute of International Studies, who spoke to the Global Times. According to experts, no matter who is in charge at 10 Downing Street, the UK is likely to maintain a strict policy against China as long as London is committed to acting as Washington's vassal regarding restricting China's development. Sunak cannot issue a comprehensive China policy shortly, according to Gui, who added that this is because the new UK Prime Minister, who took office with a host of issues, including a faltering economy, will be forced to deal with internal problems during his first few months in office. In his first speech as Prime Minister on Tuesday, Sunak pledged to correct Truss's mistakes and regain the public's confidence. He also warned that the UK is currently experiencing an economic catastrophe. He warned that tough decisions to come would be made to restore economic stability and prevent debt from growing. Before her resignation, The Guardian reported that Truss was considering revising former Prime Minister Boris Johnson's military and foreign policy to publicly label China as a threat to the UK. Since the UK economy is currently in dire straits, the new Prime Minister is likely to soften some of Truss' more aggressive rhetoric. According to Li Guangji, a research fellow at the Shanghai Academy of Global Governance and Area Studies, part of the Shanghai International Studies University, if Sunak proves to be a rational politician, he will not risk fraying the already strained China-UK ties. Additionally, he pointed out that neither the White House nor Downing Street referred to China as a threat, indicating that Sunak is unlikely to continue Truss's firm posture, at least for the time being. According to data from the UK Office for National Statistics, China is currently the country from which the UK imports the most goods, accounting for 13.3% of total imports and valued at £63.6 billion, $611 billion. According to estimates from the Higher Education Statistics Authority for 2022, there will be approximately 144,000 Chinese students studying in Britain, an increase of 50% in just 5 years, as reported by the BBC in March. Who does not want to seek asylum in the UK rather than return to China? According to the Financial Times, Sunak promoted a mature and balanced relationship with China while serving as Chancellor of the Exchequer and worked to strengthen commercial ties by reviving the China-UK economic and financial dialogue. Qui advised Sunak, who has a technocratic style of government, to take on the pragmatism of the finance minister and view China as a partner in cooperation rather than a threat. Sunak will review relations with China after taking office from an all-encompassing perspective, including diplomacy, the military, and security. Using pragmatism to counter the Chinese threat. Chinese observers stated that China hopes Sunak will continue Boris Johnson's overall foreign policy, which was pragmatic on trade relations with China while tough on political issues. Sunak has only had a 7-year career in national politics, and his election's quick, hurried nature has not given him adequate preparation. According to observers, maintaining close relations with Washington regarding ideology and security is a feature of the Johnson policy, and Sunak will continue to do so. U.S. President Joe Biden described the election of Sunak as a groundbreaking milestone and quite remarkable when the conservative candidate won the leadership battle. According to the readout provided by Downing Street, Biden also stated during their call on Tuesday that the UK is America's closest ally, and the Prime Minister concurred on the great strength of the relationship. Biden's economic team and Truss staff had a personal disagreement over their proposals to lower taxes for wealthy incomes when Truss was in government. Last week, The New York Times reported that Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen joined several other finance ministers from the Group of 7 nations in condemning their British counterpart over the plans this month. Even though the UK is currently mired in post-Brexit uncertainty and political unrest, the nation is required in discussions of several global issues, including the G20 and climate change. If the next Prime Minister cannot resolve home issues, Wang Yi, head of the Institute of International Affairs at the Renmin University of China, questioned how he could effectively guide the country toward international collaboration. China anticipates that the UK would struggle economically, distracting attention from the threat from China.